Hey guys, you're listening to the Energy of the Untamed Heart podcast, where we talk about uncaging your divinely gifted wild heart to be as free and expansive as you were born to be. My goal is to use our stories, guest interviews, and your questions to tease out what has been keeping your wild heart under wraps. I'm your host, Mielle Fox, and together we will shatter the myths of our old stories to set our wild heart free. So thanks for choosing you and showing up today. Hi, everybody. Here we are. Another episode of Energy of the Untamed Heart podcast. My guest today is Lauren Dickinson. She is the founder and creator of Orion Retreats. I think this is just phenomenally amazing, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But Orion Retreats, it is a transformational travel concierge service where Lauren not only creates retreats, but also works with other entrepreneurs in the spiritual and healing realms, transformational realms, to customize a retreat opportunity. The whole concept of her business, I'm like, holy smokes, this is amazing. You can either go on a retreat, you can create a retreat, you can have a membership that allows you access to, and it's just an unbelievable avenue for someone who wants to up-level their personal transformation opportunities and their growth opportunities to take advantage of while seeing other societies and cultures in different parts of the world. I just think it's the bomb diggity. So anyhow, I met Lauren through our co-author event on the most recently released book, Activating the Divine Human. And I was so excited to talk with her. Lauren is here to spend a few minutes with us. We're going to talk all the things. We're going to talk art. We're going to talk about transformation. We're going to talk travel. We're going to talk about how this is so critical to learning and really understanding the significance of walking home to your heart and why it matters. So without further ado, I can't wait to chat with Lauren. Hello, welcome.
Hi, yeah, I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you too.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So good. In our new book, Lauren is one of the authors. I'm one of the authors, and we have narratives along with 10 other women where we really have a conversation about what our journey has been that has led us to walking home to our heart, how we have peeled back the stories and really faced some of the pretty deep-seated fears and confusions about who we are, what are we doing, why are we here, how come things have to be so hard? Oh, really? Not so much. It's so easy. All the things. And we each author wrote a chapter, and Lauren's chapter was really beautiful. I'll let her describe it a little bit. But then when I realized, wow, she's a creative in this world and she's brought this forward through this transformational travel retreat opportunity, this is just, oh my gosh, it's like a branch on the olive tree to me. I'm like, who doesn't want a piece of this? So tell us how you got from there to here in a nutshell, how you were
Yeah.
teleported.
Thank you. From the early days of, a little bit of like, I don't want to say darkness as, but it has so many connotations, but not seeing the full path in front of me. And it's led to like just even the whole process of writing that chapter was so like instrumental in even just like grounding me further into like I am doing my purpose now. All of that served this beautiful like purpose to lead me to exactly where I am now. So my chapter is about a lot of my early creative journeys and early creative processes that were interrupted by some family trauma. And then, life starts to happen and all these things happen. And you just kind of start to like put your dreams aside, put your ambitions aside, just to like work, survive, figure out what's next, just to kind of keep busy. It was really a nice way for me to open up to like, oh, I really have, done so much to find my purpose. And it feeds my acumen that I tend to find myself helping other people through the transformational retreats find their purpose and find their thing in life. So it's kind of this cure on wounded healer thing. It's like, oh, it took me so long to find mine because I need to help other people find theirs. So it was a really cool experience doing the whole book. And then, yeah.
It is. It was it was an extra piece in my journey that I hadn't really anticipated, hadn't really thought about, just sort of came out of left field, so to speak. And the end result of what it did for me to write the chapter and really revisit places that I'd been quite happy to actually, stuff in a potato sack and throw out the door. But in order to really make the shift and change, you have to kind of go back there a little bit. And so the journey of the writing was really, really very very helpful to me. It's so interesting that you have this entire business that is designed to help other people work through pieces of their journey so that they can actually uh, return to the essence of who they really are, which to me is what our divine purpose is. So for me, I
Mhm.
really feel like we're these soul essences, little pieces of love, divine sparks hanging out on earth in earth school, having human experiences. And in so doing, we get a little muddied up. We get kind of rolled in the dirt a little bit, and then we can't figure out like what's what. And I have to say, my personal experiences when I have traveled as an adult, as opposed to a child where you get dragged willy-nilly all over the place, I've had a couple of amazing personal transformation experiences through travel, and I cannot say they were luxurious retreats. They were pretty much like sleeping on reindeer pelts in the middle of nowhere in a teepee in pouring rain for a week straight. But what it offered when I came
Me
through the
too.
other end of it was phenomenal. I learned more about myself, my capacity for growth, my capacity for love, my capacity for understanding myself, all of those things, which certainly nobody said, hey, when you do this 7-day trip here and you're living on dirt, here's what you're going to find about yourself. No idea. I
Mhm.
think there's probably the intangibles that occur through your business that your client may have on a big gross level, like, oh, I think I'm going to get this. And then what they really walk away with is something very, very different. And I'm curious if this is what you find for your clients. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a really eloquent way of saying that. Like travel in and of itself can be so transformational and even like solo trips, vacations. I'm a big fan of solo travel. I've done that quite a bit. I think that the self-trust that you get and the self-reliance and the confidence that you get just from doing those trips is profound. And then combining it with an experience that you can be a part of a community, walking arm in arm and other people going through similar transformations and ahas and insights about their life, and then having a community to like hold space for you while you're doing this, and then have intentional, I don't want to say structure because we don't try and put too much structure around it, but like having this transformational container of the retreat itself where you're going through exercises and going through activities that might be digging stuff up intentionally, and you're in a safe space where all of this can just come out, and like the relief to your nervous system for one is just like, oh, I didn't realize I was carrying that for so long. And I've gone through this and now we get to be out on this beautiful land, because I like to include a lot of sacred vortex areas, if you believe in that stuff, sacred land areas in these retreats. So then not only do you have this like internal experience, which is primary, then you get to like be out in the land, and the land and earth, and Gaia has its energy of its own that it helps to just release and activate all that out of your system so that you can just fully truly step into the next phase of your life, whether you wanted it, whether that was your intention or not. Like my guests have come back saying like, wow, I didn't know that I needed that. I just wanted to go on a really cool trip and see these things. And what they come out with is like, I see a couple of my clients, they're like, one of the clients is doing the book right now. Another client is writing their own book, separate thing, but they're like totally taking off for their life and really like stepping into their personal power in their own career. And like those are intangible things. And I think the combination of travel and seeing new landscapes and getting out of our patterns, like there's a whole neuroscience of retreat that I wrote a book about recently, that you get out of the normal and then you have these experiences and it helps to repattern your brain, and it helps to just start the new. Whatever that new is for you, you'll figure it out. And you may not have the big aha during the retreat. A lot of people do, but if you don't, it's almost like how do I the vision that I had was like, like in the garden, when you toe like the soil and it makes it fresh, and then like from there you get to start anew. So whatever your life looks like after that, there's definitely like a beginning point, like before retreat and then after retreat. And then of course we want to contain, create a container where people can continue to have those experiences and continue to thrive and flourish in their lives. And that's really the intention behind it.
It's really beautiful. I don't know if you know this of me, but a lot of the listeners know this just because I don't shut up and I don't stop talking about it. But I'm fascinated by energy. I'm fascinated by the connection of science bridged to the spiritual. And I'm also fascinated by patterns and numbers. And
Mm.
I do numerology as well as all the other things I love to do. And there is something within the numerology um, body of work, which is basically the science of transformation. It's expressed through the energy, through numbers, that describes what's called
Mhm.
the divine timing cycle. And it's basically a series of steps that everybody goes through in multiple ways in repeated cycles. And it always starts with some kind of an awareness or an initiation or a start, like a seed in the soil, so to speak. And the divine timing cycle walks you through the various stages until you ultimately reach transmutation or transformation. And so these are these repetitive cycles that we all go through always, through our entire lifetime here on earth. And it's so interesting because as I was listening to you describe these retreats, it's literally like almost like a compact version of the divine timing cycle within a retreat. So somebody goes and they go through these various phases and experiences and
Mhm.
teachings and trainings and just the whole removing yourself from your day-to-day pattern, because honestly, you've got to get out of your comfort zone to learn. We know this. And then the transformation may or may not come during the retreat. It may come after, but still what you're describing is absolutely the way that we as humans experience transformation through these various stages that everybody goes through them. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
affirming to me. I'm like, oh, look, isn't that beautiful? The thing I love most is being expressed through travel. I love this. So it's just really cool that it
Beautiful.
shows up in different ways. And you're so right. Sometimes the aha shows up in the moment and sometimes it doesn't. And again, this one trip that I took, so I also have horses for everybody else who does or doesn't know. My whole world is built around my horses. And I took a trip back in 2005 because I really was like, I need to up level my riding. I need to up level my game. I need to up level my capacity to understand and work with these horses more fluidly, I guess. So I had an opportunity to go to a very, very remote part of Sweden. I'm talking remote. And it was one of those,
Ooh.
like, I don't know if I'll go. I don't think I can afford to go, and all the things. And basically, I traded my property tax money to go. And I was like, well, universe will figure it out. Something will happen. I'm good. So I sort of, robbed Peter to pay Paul, and off I went on this trip by myself and didn't know anybody on the trip, didn't know anything, just said, the hell with that. I'm just going. I really felt pushed to go. And well, yes, it did up level my horsemanship, by the way. For those who were like, what happened? I learned so many things, but the things that I learned really didn't hit home until much, much later, like
Mhm.
years later, where I realized, wow, the reason I'm able
Wow.
to manage XYZ is because of what I learned back then. So it's very interesting that you
Yeah.
kind of get what you need if you're open to receive it, but whether you have the awareness that that's what it is may not hit home for a
Mhm.
while. And so
Mhm.
I really love that you've got these various kinds of retreats available to help people kind of hone in on what might they be looking for, because like me, I had no idea I was looking for anything. I went on a trip thinking I was going to be a better rider, and it turns out it made me a better human, because I had so much change and transformation secondary to that trip. So it's really funny how it's almost, again, you don't know what you don't know till you do. You think you're going somewhere to learn
Yeah.
something very specific, which is great, except what you
Yeah.
really need comes through in a different way. And sometimes the magic is just you don't even know you need it and then you get it. So that's like the bonus,
And then you
right?
get it. Yeah.
That's totally the bonus.
Absolutely. It reminds me. Absolutely. I think yeah, the closest story I have to that, very, very similar. Like I went to like my first major like international travel was to go to Australia. And I thought like the way that the woman had advertised it was that this was you're going to learn about the Aboriginal healing techniques. And I was at the beginning of my healing journey. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to Australia and spend time with the Aborigines. Like, heck yeah, that sounds amazing. And I remember I was going to buy a one-way ticket and just like go from there. I think I was like 28 or 29 at the time, Saturn return. Like I was full in, like, I'm going to go and just like spend the rest of my life traveling, which is interesting because now that's what I turned my other part of my career into. But so I went and yeah, like I said, I was going to buy a one-way ticket and my mom ended up coming with me because it sounded really interesting to her too. And she's been like you know, I think she's more of a healer than she'll think that she is, but she's very much into like holistic medicine. She raised us all on herbs and blackstrap molasses, vegetarian, like the whole works and stuff. So she came along with me because she wanted to learn this too. And we didn't learn any of that. I think that it was misrepresented. There was a lot of stuff behind that. But what we really got out of it is like we were camping in the middle of the outback with sleeping bags and a tarp over us for rain shelter, and we were like, whoa, what is this? And me, I'm having the time of my life, and mom's like, oh, what did we sign up for? And we did get to spend time with the Aborigines, and we did get to go around Uluru, which was like so amazing, like truly, truly amazing. If anyone has any opportunity to go over to Ayers Rock, they call it Ayers Rock in the Western world, but Uluru, just magic medicine over there. Interestingly, I couldn't participate in any of the ceremonies with the Aborigines because I was on my menses at the time, and they don't allow you to. I was kind of like, well, what am I really getting out of this? And I really sat with that during. I was kind of sad at the time, but knowing that, hey, I got out to Australia, I got out to, this beautiful red rock, and I've always loved red rocks. I lived in Sedona for a while. And it wasn't until a few years later that it really started to come back to really like show me what I was there for. For one, it was like kind of the foundational like sparking of my passion for going around to different sacred sites around the world, because that's one of the big vortexes of the earth. And my mom and I, when we climbed the part of Uluru that they still let you climb, well, at the time they let you climb. Now I think they've closed it all because there was just too many tourists doing it. But we did it sustainably. But where we were able to climb up to on the big rock, we were close to the major vortex that's up there. So like that was my first experience of like working with that energy unbeknownst to me. And then also like, and I talk about this in the book a little bit, just the part that my father had passed away and my mom and I were the ones that were there that night giving him CPR, and that was in its own thing very traumatic. But this trip was more for my mom and I to really, really heal that. And we had a couple hard years after that and didn't have the tools really at the time to, okay, this was trauma. We need to fix this or do, heal this. So it was a really coming together for my mom and I to do this. And I think that those, like, I wouldn't have thought that at the time. I thought I was going to go learn all this healing stuff that I can take back to my career. But really, like, I got the healing that I wanted, but it was for me and it was for my mom and not something that I could take out to other people. Turns out then, like, it created that passion for traveling to different sacred sites. But I just love the fact that you're going to get exactly what you need out of it. Always, always,
Yeah.
always. That's
Yeah.
what I feel about when I was in Sedona here in Mount Shasta is like, if you're called and you respond and you say yes to whatever inkling is inside of you that's saying, I really want to do this, you're going to get exactly what you need out of it.
Yeah. It's really, and it's really interesting if you just go with that and don't like second guess, like, why do I want to go to Mount Shasta? Why do I want to go to Sedona? Why do I want to go whatever? Like if it's
Ask
very much
across the
like I
room.
had this opportunity popped up and it was, this is when we're going, this is what we're doing, you're in or you're out. And of course, my instinct was like, oh man, I'm in. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
think twice, like, how am I going to do this? And how is this, none of the how and the whatever, just the complete, okay, I'll get a little geeky. It's so seven of me. So seven, which happens to be our energy that's puttering around at the moment, is all about taking a leap of inspired action through faith, like not needing to know how, not needing to know what does it mean, not needing to know what step 23, 24, and 25. And so,
Yeah.
I tend to like
Faith.
walk through life like that a lot of the times, like, oh, nope, I'm just going to do the thing. I have no clue how I'm doing the thing. I just know I'm doing the thing. And I think, for probably a lot of your clients, there's something that draws them. There's something, it's not like, oh, I've never been to Mount Shasta, I really just want to go. It isn't that. It's some deep pull deep in their being that's saying, you need to experience this, you need to be there. Your soul wants to go there and your human needs to go there. So it's that sort of
Mhm.
partnering of those two pieces. Yeah, it's really fascinating. So I'm curious, if you had to look at your retreats that you have, do you find that you have a greater percent of retreats that are sort of, this is what we've put together to offer versus Hi, I'm entrepreneur XYZ, and I would like for you to design me a retreat that fills the following. Do you know what I'm asking? Do you find you have more
Oh,
customization or more people looking for what you have already?
yeah, both actually.
Hmm.
I started out being the one creating the retreats and creating these beautiful containers for transformation. And, we've grown a decent community, but then like people started kind of coming out of the woodworks. Well, can you help me plan mine? Can you do this? Because they resonated with so much with what we're doing. So then now I have a bunch of retreat planning clients. So it's both. And actually, like what I'm trying to do because we're still kind of in our early stages, we're only 3 years old. And so like I'm doing this very intuitively. I don't have like this 10-year business plan that we're doing this in a very 3D way. I'm just like, I'm a generator in human design. I'm an 8. It's very karmic. So I know that what is supposed to come will come. And whatever my response is when it comes is my yes or no. Like I'm not a projector or anything. Like I can't, it's hard for me to like go out and try and do something. That's what I've learned through working with my human design. The opposite is very much like sit back, wait to see what comes and see how you respond to it. So as more and more retreat planning clients came to me, and that's how I met Atusa, the publisher of
Hmm.
our book. Can you create this for me with me? And I want to offer these to my clients and my guests. I said, absolutely. And then it turned into like, I'm finding a lot of passion for that because I know that part of my purpose is to support other people and help them facilitate their purpose and what their soul has come here to do. So that's the next kind of layer and level of my retreat company is also offering a platform to elevate entrepreneurs messages or a coach or a practitioner, somebody who has, the desire for more impact, elevating them and elevating their offerings both through, yeah, bringing on retreats, but then also like kind of like an in-house PR agency where we're, developing systems for you, conversion funnels, and like a facilitator slash speaker resume and helping people elevate in that way so that you're not only adding retreats, but you're like you have this whole opportunity to just fully just like step into your power and your mission in this lifetime and what you're here to do. And that's what's really exciting for me right now. So that's almost like taken over a lot of like what I originally started out was like hosting my own retreats. I'm bringing that back. I've got 4 of mine next year for conscious leadership retreats. And those were probably going to be for people who are the entrepreneurs. And then any guests that want to come, there's always going to be like a multitude of offerings. So I guess, to answer your question in a long way, it's both. And
Yeah.
it's been a really cool creation process to get to just like, okay, this is what's coming through me. I'm not creating this. This is what needs to be created in the world. And I just happen to be the vessel, like being open to the ideas of it. So I think it's a really cool place to like be and kind of sit in both worlds and see what needs to be offered.
Yeah, and I think it's really great. So anybody who isn't familiar with human design, it's another modality that sort of gives you an idea of how do you walk through the world, like what is your way of being, what is your way of responding, how do you best respond based on how you're put together. And it's interesting that you said, you're a generator. I happen to be a projector. Yeah, big surprise. So I just think I think that's really hilarious in a way because I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's a really great combo right there," because I'm a definite idea, let's do the thing, and I've got the
I
10,000
love
ideas,
that.
let's go with it, and you're the let me sit back and see how it feels, and it's so funny because it sounds like it's opposite, but really it isn't in a way if you
Yeah.
think
It's been
about it.
hard though. I think
Yeah.
that I would probably, if before I even knew human design, I would have thought I was a projector because I am an ideas person. I want to go, go, go. But that's also why a lot of the bigger things that I've tried to work on haven't worked out.
Mhm.
And so it's been hard for me to step back and allow the ideas or whatever to come to me or allow the opportunities. So I mean, I envy people that can like go out there and do and accomplish because like it's not in my blood, it's not in my blueprint.
Yeah.
So I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So how have with human design for yourself, have you noticed that dynamic for yourself? Like if you sit back and wait, then nothing happens, or it's only when you get into that energy of going out there and making it happen for yourself.
So the way my energy tends to work is I like to work independently, like I'm a go-getter, but I want to do it. Like I'll do out the whole thing start to finish myself. So asking for support sometimes is a little dicey for me. Sometimes I have more ideas than what is realistic, and then I really have to like set back, like, okay, let me really see which one feels the best to me, as opposed to I just want to, check the checklist. I kind of
Mhm.
have to sit there and probably the biggest thing is even though I have a lot of ideas to put forward, oftentimes I choose to wait until somebody asks me, well, so what do you think
Mhm.
about this thing? So what do you think about that thing? Like, I don't just blurt my everything. So in terms of business growth or business performance, however you want to look at that, sometimes that gets to be a little bit of a little catch point, a little hitch point, because we all know in order for you to be a business, you actually have to market your business, you have to sell your business, you have to offer your product. And my way of being is I will help you from now to the end of time, but I'm not going to throw it on you. Like if you want it, you can come ask me. And if you don't, I'm not going to
Mhm.
badger you. So
Yeah.
there's that funny little gray line about when do you have to step over the line to say, the store is open, come on in and shop versus I'm not even going to tell you the store is open. So it's funny. It's funny how that kind of fades in and out through your personality depending on how you choose to leverage it or not leverage it. Um, so what I
Mhm.
do feel certainly strongly about is I feel like I have a message to share, and I feel like this podcast gets the information out there, and I feel like it's so important that people come on and tell their story because it's that old saying of there are many rivers and streams and all lead to the ocean. So yeah, we all lead to the ocean, and the ocean is just a whole lot of energetic waves interwoven into one another because everything's all really connected in one, but we just get there in different
Mhm.
ways. And so the stories that people come and share on this podcast especially really highlight how do each of us find our way back home, walk home to our heart. And so I love that not only have you shared it through the narrative that you offered in the most recent book, but also through your business. I mean, your business is just such an up level from let's go to Disney World. It's just so beautifully connecting who we are as humans and who, the experiences that our soul has come here to have. And through your travel network, you're able to really bring that together to help people get those two pieces of information connected properly. Because my personal
Mhm.
belief is our dharma, what are we here for? What's our life purpose? Is to be the most authentic and genuine expression of who we are at our deepest core essence, however
Yes,
that
that
comes
chills.
through, whether that's
Mhm.
as a business, not as a business, whatever that is for people. So I imagine you probably have clients who are not necessarily entrepreneurs in business looking to do XYZ. I imagine you probably have, the gamut of clients, people who are just feeling like, hey, I want to go see a place, or hey, I'm really needing a different experience, or hey, I want to travel, but I don't necessarily want to be completely solo, creating everything by
Mhm.
myself. So,
Mhm.
yeah, do you
Absolutely.
probably find that?
Yeah, and now it's bringing it back to your earlier question, so I probably missed the mark a little bit on that one. But with the yeah, so what we offer too is different types of retreats. I call them constellations of retreats because it all goes back to the cosmos and which taps us into our divinity. There is conscious leadership retreats where yes, if you have an executive an entrepreneur that wants to learn XYZ and they want a container for that, I've got that. If you are a seeker and you just want a spiritual adventure and go and see beautiful places with a beautiful community and tap into those parts of yourself, to reclaim them, then we have that. We have spiritual and wellness retreats. So we've got a little bit of everything. So we do see a full gamut of every type of person that would want to go on a retreat. And I like that because, a lot of people like teach you to niche down and only offer certain kinds. And while I don't probably have everything, I don't know if I'll ever do exclusive like, yoga retreats because there's plenty of people that have that. Like I really want to focus on the personal growth and personal development, transformational experiences. Not that yoga can't be transformational, it certainly is. Like I said, there's just plenty of people that have that. Anything like to your point too is like my whole slogan, my whole purpose for doing this is like helping people awaken to their divinity. And however that shows up through their business, through an entrepreneurship journey and conscious leadership, or just like tapping into the divine in a wellness or spiritual retreat, like in those experiences, or when you're amongst nature, or in a community where you have somebody who in that, like you think about like how special it is, like if you have a connection with somebody and you have make a lifelong friend, how many circumstances have had to orchestrate themselves all together to make that one moment in time happen. And if that's the reason why you came to make that connection with somebody else that's going to like help you or be your lifelong friend or confidant or, you know, partner in transformation for the rest of your lives, then that's the purpose too. You know, so it's really all about like, if you feel called, say yes to yourself. And even for people who may not be ready for a retreat, we have I'm coming up with a small little offering like here's how to do your personal retreat, your own retreat. You take off an entire day, you know, book your kids, your pets, all that stuff, you know, have that all taken care of. Then here's what you can do for yourself if you're not ready to come and travel. You know, so there's a little bit of everything, something for everyone is what I'm trying to say. But I think, yeah, to your point too, is like we are here to make manifest, you know, the spark of God that is us and bring that into life. And however that shows up, however it is, like it doesn't have to be a big entrepreneurial journey. It's just how coming home to our own hearts is the most transformational process that there is. And that's what we're here to do, to live as heart-centered people, spiritual beings having a human experience, like you said, and not, okay, I'm a human, I'm having a spiritual experience. So to really tapping into that, and that's how we start to affect the collective, and that's how we start to, you know, create the world that we want to see is
It's perfect. Yeah, it's beautiful. I truly believe we are all divine sparks of love. I believe we are the essence of divinity within ourselves, connected to everybody else through love. And we've just sort of got it muckied up along the way. So I love that you share and offer a service that gives people the opportunity for personal transformation. Tell me how folks can get a hold of you if they want to look at the retreats, have a conversation, see if you can offer them any kind of a service in any way.
Yeah, thank you. The website to kind of check out all of our offerings as far as the retreats coming up for 2025, we're still adding some and we're still adding some for 2026, is orionretreats.com. It's Orion like the constellation and then retreats plural.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Orion Retreats. You can DM me, you can email me at info@orionretreats.com. I'm not a hard salesperson. I'm not going to try and pound you into some retreat. I'm going to say, what do you want? What do you want with your life? How can we help support that? And if there's a way that we can, absolutely. If it's not, and if it's just a beautiful conversation, I love having those too, because I think that we're all here for each other and we're all walking each other home. And however we can do that, I would love to talk to you. Yeah.
I love it. Different ways to shift the collective one heart at a time. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And I will get all the information up in the
Thank
show
you for
notes
having
for
me.
you. And so good. So good.
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody, we'll see you again on Energy, the Untamed Heart.